In the quiet twilight of a collapsing world, when nations could no longer hear their own heartbeat, humanity stood on the edge of its final silence. Borders had crumbled into dust, cities glowed with the faint embers of forgotten wars, and the great continents trembled beneath the weight of unrest. Every street carried the echo of anger, every horizon the smoke of a world exhausted by its own chaos. Ethnic conflicts burned without mercy, entire regions slipped into rebellion, and trust among nations dissolved like mist before the coming storm. For the first time in centuries, humanity gazed into a mirror it could not recognize, its face fractured, its simmed, its hope fading like a candle in cold wind. But history rarely ends in darkness without leaving a single spark behind. From a distant island, a place untouched by the raging storms of the world, one man listened, not to the noise of war, but to the silent cry beneath it, a cry asking for order, for direction, for a hand bold enough to shape destiny once more. Donald Trump, a figure once loud, divisive, impossible to ignore, had vanished from the world stage. Yet during his absence, he had watched humanity's decline with a gaze sharpened by exile and reflection. And when the final veil of global stability tore apart, something within him awakened. He rose not as a politician, not as a businessman, not even as the man the world claimed, but as something entirely different. A force shaped by crisis, a symbol molded by the world's own vibration, a solitary traveler stepping out of the shadows to reclaim balance from the ruins. His return began as a whisper, a rumor carried by the oceans, but soon it grew into a movement. Crowds gathered where he walked, cities ignited with renewed discipline. Streets once ruled by fear became corridors of silent weight. In a world drowning in conflict, his presence became a strange, stabilizing pulse. Where civilizations were tearing themselves apart, he stitched fragile pieces back together with a mixture of authority, unpredictability, and the unshakable certainty that the world could not be left to destroy itself. He traveled through war-torn capitals, through abandoned megacities overrun by desperate survivors, through territories where governments had fallen and tribal factions ruled, and with every step, the world felt something it had forgotten: structure, focus. A leader who did not bend, who did not negotiate with chaos, but confronted it with fire. Some called him dangerous, others called him the last hope. But every nation, every wandering people, every lost army felt the same shift in the air, as if the world itself was recalibrating around a single gravitational center. And so began a new chapter, a chapter forged in uncertainty yet guided by a relentless will. One man standing between collapse and rebirth, one man would vanish into the dust of forgotten civilizations. In an age without heroes, the world created one, and as dawn crept over a recovering, the message became clear. Order can be rebuilt, peace can be reclaimed, and sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected of places. This is the story of a world reborn from its own ashes. This is the rise of a man who returned not for power, but for the survival of everything. If you felt the spark of this new world, if the journey we've shared through humanity's struggles and the return of hope stirred you, let your voices be heard. Write your comments, share your thoughts, and give this story the chance to reach every heart that longs for peace. Subscribe to our next journey, where secrets are yet to be revealed, and the adventure is far from over. Every comment, every share is another ray of light illuminating the path of this story, making it deeper, stronger, and more magical. We are waiting for you to write the next chapter together.